Welcome back to the Brandon T. Adams audio experience. I'm Brandon T. Adams, and I'm sitting here with Sir James Gray Robinson, who is a former high-powered litigator who made a bold shift from law to liberation. Now, through the company Awakened Mastery, he helps high-achieving professionals transform stress and burnout into energy, clarity, and purpose. Gray's approach combines science, storytelling, and soul, and the work he's doing is changing lives. Welcome to the show, buddy. Good to see you.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, so we just met each other, recently here because we're both co-authors in the Impact Leaders book, which I'm excited about. So we co-authored a book together, which is coming out soon, and we can talk about later. But I instantly had a connection with you because you didn't know this. The morning before at like 4:30 a.m., I was prepping for the event. I saw some of the people there, and I saw your story, and I actually watched part of your documentary. The instant connection I had with you is my uncle, actually great uncle, was a attorney for many years, Dixon Adams. And so I met that up, so we had a connection. I was so interested because I love what attorneys do and their ability. They have to prepare for a case. They got to really understand because it's like preparing to go into war. So I want to jump in first. You come from a family of attorneys. Can you talk about your background in that, your father, and then leading up to you, your desire to become an attorney?
Well, I'm actually a third-generation attorney.
Third generation.
My grandfather was a judge in eastern North Carolina during the Depression.
Yeah.
And then my father was an attorney for 50 years and more in Winston-Salem. And so it was just decided that I would be an attorney. I actually have a twin brother who is a doctor, and two brothers who were lawyers. So out of four boys, there were three lawyers and one doctor. So it really wasn't my choice. I didn't want to be a lawyer, but it was pretty much predetermined that I was going to be a lawyer.
What was it growing up? Because I grew up with my father, and I ended up following his footsteps for a while in the ice business. What was it you learned from your father, or like maybe you saw a case, something that made you, you said you didn't really have a choice, but what did you learn from your father in his days, 50 years of being an attorney? Any takeaways you learned that made you think differently about your own life?
Well, he was different than a lot of attorneys because he absolutely loved it. He would rather be practicing law than anything else. He would rather than playing golf or going to ball games or anything. He just absolutely loved practicing law. And that dedication and that commitment was something that I really picked up on, and it was deeply ingrained in me. The difference, though, was I didn't want to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
I did it because I wanted him to be proud of me. I wanted him to love me, and he made it clear that if I didn't become a lawyer, then there was going to be problems.
Yeah.
So, however, he was ferocious in court. He had a reputation of being the meanest SOB in the courtroom. And that's why so many people hired him, because they wanted somebody that would fight for them.
Yeah.
And there was no stone left unturned. He would research everything. He would make the other side miserable. And it was a war of attrition more than anything else. He just was the most dedicated, the most insightful, the most talented lawyer in the room. And so that's why he became so famous. And it was also impossible to live up to his standards.
You know, it's interesting you said something you and I have a lot in common, actually. One of them is me seeking the approval from my father and getting that love by showing my success.
Right.
Imagine in areas of your life, over your career, to say, hey, Dad, look what I did. In a way, it drives people towards massive success, but also, in a way, it has its downsides to it. You talk about, after being a lawyer for so long, you had a mental breakdown, which I haven't experienced myself. Talk about the day when you couldn't even get out of bed, and that's when you made a change in your life.
I literally was in a fetal position, and I could not move. And that is what I later learned to be a defense mechanism, that your brain just shuts down. It's like a circuit breaker.
Yep.
When the stress gets to
Did you lock up too?
Yeah.
I've had that happen, yeah.
It was basically a panic attack.
Yep.
And I was diagnosed with PTSD from a combination of things later. But the problem is that I could not understand what was going on in my brain, because I had been, under a lot of stress and burning out for years. But for some reason, everything just piled on me that day, and I just couldn't go into work. I had to call my brother, who was my law partner, and say, I'm done. I just can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
And so I exited stage right and quit practicing law.
How long were you out of law?
That was it was in May of 2004, so it's 21 years.
So how many years? So you've been out of law for how long now? That long?
Yeah, I've been out 21
Oh,
years.
you're 100, okay, out.
And during that time, I've been studying and training and learning about the nervous system, about our way the brain functions, and why people burn out. Because that's what's kind of unique about me. Number one is I've been through a full-blown burnout. I know what it's like, so I can know what my client is going through.
Why do they burn out?
Basically, the way I look at it is that they're out of alignment, because we have our souls,
Yeah.
which is the observer. And I've learned this through my near-death experiences, because I've had 5 near-death experiences where I went to the other side and left my body. And so
What would be one? Can you share? What's one where you left your body and came back? Was it
I fell
accident?
I fell off a building, 4-story building, and landed on a brick wall. It pretty much crushed all my ribs on the left side, and took off a large part of skin off my face.
What do you remember? Okay, when you hit, what was the last thing you remember? Because you said you went to the other side.
I describe it as my soul bounced higher than my body did.
Yeah.
Because I was up above looking down at all these people trying to resuscitate me. And I was going, well, this is weird, because I'm not feeling any pain. I actually was pretty euphoric.
It's like your soul left your body.
Exactly. And I was watching everything around me, but
So your heart wasn't beating.
They were doing CPR.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was saying, well, I guess this is it. And all of a sudden, these light beings, for lack of a better word, came, and we were having a conversation about it's not my time yet, that I was going to have to go back into my body and finish what I was there to do. And they didn't tell me what that was, but it was like, you're not done yet. You've got to go back and continue your life. And it was, but I'm having a good time. He said, nope, got to go back. So all of a sudden, went right back into my body.
Did you feel pain right away?
Yes.
Instantly?
Because I had either crushed or dislocated every rib on the left side of my thing, because I had, here's the wall, my body landed like that. And so it pretty much took out all my...
So I think you're the second or third person I've interviewed on the show that have seen the other side. So you believe in a God?
Absolutely. And I think that...
As
I'm a deacon in the Southern Baptist Church, so I've had a full platter of religion. I think that my view of it is that God is that energy that animates us inside. And it's like when you go through a near-death experience, what happens is that you realize that you're not actually thinking, you're just observing. And you're not having any thoughts.
Yeah.
It's just you're observing. And when I went back in my body, I started observing my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I teach my clients how to observe their thoughts and to observe their emotions and to observe their behavior. Like a third-party, independent witness, you can observe what it is your brain is doing, because it's like you are not your thoughts, you are not your emotions, you're not your behavior.
So let's talk about the brain, because I'm really in this conversation. Even when I had a mental breakdown where my body locked up like you had, and I was going dark, and I actually was on the phone with my secretary, and I thought I was gonna die. I told my secretary, tell my dad I love him. And then I couldn't move, the ambulance came, and so that was a mental breakdown experience. It was because I was working, not sleeping, all that. So I know a lot of people deal with that kind of stuff. What would you say, I'm gonna have a couple follow-up questions here, what would you say to people that maybe just experience a mental breakdown or feel like they're about to like snap? What's your advice to them so that doesn't happen? Because I know you work with people in that.
They have to understand that this is not the way your brain is designed to work. Whatever they're experiencing is a red flag that they're doing it wrong.
They're making it up in their brain. Most of it is what they actually tell themselves.
Well, it's pressure they're putting on themselves.
Yeah.
And because whatever they're perceiving is a conflict that's going on inside of them.
Yeah.
And so if they take a step back from that and start understanding that you can change what you think.
Yeah.
You can change your mind. It just takes some training and it takes a little effort, but it's very easy to go from a stressed out, miserable maniac to someone who is what I call in the state of flow. And that's when everything is in alignment and everything comes easly and you're basically having fun.
So I'm guessing you do exercise, meditation, things like that, breathing techniques?
Part of it, there's a number of ways that, the 5-second neurobiology classes, we have an autonomic nervous system, which is basically our primitive brain. It's our brain stem and parts of the brain in the back of our head. That is the original brain that first was evolved from whenever we came out of the primordial ooze. And we had more than 2 brain cells. That was what we had. And it learned over simply by evolution that when danger strikes, to react.
Yeah.
And we react unconsciously without thinking about it. And we can either be stressed out, and because that reaction usually pumps adrenaline and cortisol into our bodies, which is basically makes us superhuman. We can pick up cars off of babies. We can, do extraordinary things physically to defend yourself. And you do it without thinking. You just react. The problem with it is that our body is not designed to stay in that state of mind very long.
Yeah.
And if you're in it for more than 10 minutes, I would say, you're in trouble because you're basically going to overload your body and your organs, and you are going to burn out. It's just like you've got a car and it doesn't have any oil in it. It's going to lock up and crash. And that's what happens to your body if you stay stressed out. I used to joke that I stayed at DEFCON 5 about 24 hours a day. And I didn't realize I had a choice. I didn't have to be in DEFCON 5. There are things you can do to turn that off. And that's what I teach my clients.
Can you talk about the billionaires reset or billionaires? What does that mean?
Well, the billionaires have a state of mind and they think differently than most people.
In what ways? Would you give some examples for people that aren't billionaires?
There are about 10 things that they think differently than everybody else. First of all, they know that they have to pay themselves first. Second, they look at the long term. They're not trying to make a quick buck. They want is to leave a legacy. Yeah. They also are focused on creating passive streams of income. So they don't have to, it's not 1 hour work for 1 hour pay. It's no hours of work for 10 hours of pay. Yeah. And they leverage this. And so they've got all this money coming in, and they recognize the fact that they don't have to work as hard as everybody else.
So they have time to actually think in very strategic ways, because most entrepreneurs are stuck in the business and the grind. They don't have time to think about the bigger picture.
Look at Steve Jobs and look at Bezos, look at Facebook, Zuckerberg. Those guys have a healthy spiritual practice where they meditate and they ponder. Yeah. That there's an old saying that 10 minutes of looking out a window is worth 2 hours of research. So that's the billionaire's way of approaching it.
So this conversation, I could probably go on for 3 hours. We're running out of time. Where can you, for people that are watching, listening, where can they learn more about to work with you? How can they work with you? I know we have an event coming up as well.
Yeah, well, we have a 3-day event that's coming up that's free, that introduces people to the principles that I teach. And so they can do that. Then we're going to have an 8-day program that really goes in deep and explains to people and trains people how to master their life.
Yeah.
And then you can have a one-on-one with me where you can learn all this stuff in 6 hours. So you can go to my website. It's my name, jamesgrayrobinson.com.
Yeah.
And just follow the prompts.
Well, I'm honored that we're in a book together for the Impact Leaders. You are definitely making an impact, and I'm learning just by having a conversation with you. There's a reason, I think, for everything in life. There's a reason why we're even sitting here, and we may not know exactly what that is yet, but I know soon to come we will. Be sure to follow him on social media, and I'm going to have one more question, and then I'll kind of end things here. But what would be somebody out there right now, an entrepreneur, they're running a very successful business, maybe an 8-figure business, looking to scale their business. They have dozens of employees, and they're trying to navigate that life as a CEO and still find that there is no balance, but still find that time with family by also staying on the edge. What would be your advice to them on how to navigate through that as a CEO, maybe dealing with stress?
They have to realize that they have an autonomic nervous system that's controlling the show. And if they don't master that, then they're never going to have peace. So I teach people how to take control of their autonomic nervous system so that they can get into the flow. And the flow is when your thoughts, your emotions, your behavior, and your beliefs all are in alignment, and it's easy.
I like that. If you're feeling the pressure or there's more waiting for you beyond the stress, go to jamesgrayrobinson.com and don't miss out on his 3-day webinar, the Billionaire's Edge Summit, coming up a few weeks from now. And until next time, y'all, first, thank you, by the way. I just want to say thank you for what you've done, everything. I know we're going to collaborate more. You're going to see him more, whether on a future podcast show episode. But as we always end it, for one, don't stress out. And 2, go out there, create something great, and become unforgettable, because life is too short not to. I'm Brennan T. Adams. Have a great day, everyone.